Pennsylvania School District actually is getting a ton of backlash for an active shooter drill, and you'll see why.
Make sure our teachers are doing what they're supposed to do in event of a real emergency.
Show me your hand! Show me your hand now! There's a shooter in the building, shooter in the building. Please don't full lockdown. Full lockdown.
Either confront and apprehend the actor, or we need to neutralize the actor.
My role in the safety drill was the active shooter. I started upstairs in the science department and busted into classrooms and fired off shots.
Without any notice, the shooter came into the room and shot right at me, and I immediately screamed.
And understand their role in that process until we can neutralize any potential threat or any real threat that's in the building. It's dealt with effectively, efficiently.
All right, so you saw it there, a teacher pretending to be an active shooter wearing an Arab headscarf. And this video was filmed in January, and the intention was to practice emergency protocol and build confidence in the staff members' awareness of how to respond to an emergency. And that's from the Penn-Trafford School District. That's located just east of Pittsburgh. They wrote this in an online statement. And of course, they also said the scarf was just part of a costume, not meant to represent any particular culture or religion, actually specifying in their statement the district strongly believes in diversity and inclusion and strives to provide its students an educational environment reflective of the world community. So when they essentially said, no, you're stupid, instead of saying, we're sorry. These people should not be around kids.
Okay, people might get mad at me for this, but I don't think this was on purpose. I don't think that they were trying to showcase a Middle Eastern shooter. I mean, we all know that if they were trying to make it demographically representative, school shooters are not Middle Easterners. That's not the main threat that we have here. But that's even besides the point. I think the problem here is we're focusing on the headscarf, the Middle Eastern headwear in an active school shooting scenario, like a training montage, and not the fact that a training montage has to exist to begin with. That is the real problem. This is kind of like saying, well, why aren't there more female prison guards? I mean, yeah, okay, diversity, great. They're using that basically. They're doing the liberal thing where it's like, hey, we wanted to showcase a broad representation of different groups, and that's why we had a Middle Eastern headscarf that this person was wearing, but he was also wearing a blonde wig. So no, I don't think that it was deliberate, or I don't think that it was on purpose. And it's also not true. Like that's not, Middle Easterners are not presenting any sort of problems to schools in the form of school
But we
shootings.
treat them like they are though. And so it's not super fair to say that it's you at all, because they are still treated like that in this country. But I think you're right about the second part. That was scary to see and ridiculous.
Yeah, so I slightly do disagree with Haas, and I don't put it on the teacher, but I do put it on the organizers because they brought a headscarf as one of the options to put on for the shooters. And it's not like it's super common in the middle of Pennsylvania to have like an Arab headscarf. So you see what I'm saying? Like if they brought a fez, you'd be like, what? Where'd you get the fez from, right? So whereas if it was like a baseball cap, but it said like, the Muslim Tigers. You're like, okay, I mean, it's a baseball cap, that's common in Pennsylvania. I don't know. So look, overall, if whoever brought the headscarf was trying to say that Middle Easterners are more likely to do it, you all get it, right? That's just not remotely the case. And if you wanted to say, hey, let's make it more realistic, then I guess people would have to put on whiteface in order to do the shootings. But you don't have to get into race, you don't have to get into religion. And the most important point we all agree on, which is instead of teaching our kids how to not get shot and teaching our teachers which children to shoot at when there's a shooter situation, why don't we actually take issue with the real core problem, which is way too many guns and lax gun rules that allows for, unfortunately, a massacre a day in America, and that's a fact. And that's why we got to teach our kids these horrific training, classes to begin with.
Maybe you should have worn a MAGA hat instead of a headscarf. Who knows? That would be a little bit more demographically representative of school shooters, I think.
That actually is true, but you shouldn't wear a MAGA hat either.
I wish the teacher would have just said no. I think that people in charge of young minds should make better decisions.
Look, the reason why I said what I said is because this is something that a lot of people who LARP as like military operatives in America love to do. They wear the keffiyeh all the time, and it's a purple one. That's why I thought like some some hoorah tactical, like I want to look like a veteran guy, probably had one lying around and they wanted to cover the head of the person, which is why I assumed that it wasn't, like deliberate in that regard.
Yeah, it was definitely a disguise, to be fair, right? You could have chosen other props for a disguise, but now you've got the whole context.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.